J. Micah Hancock here for an All Israel News Live update for June 2nd, 2024. President Biden's recent ceasefire proposal to end the 8-month Gaza conflict has exposed the political rifts within the Israeli landscape. The three-phase plan appears to be an attempt to gain a foreign policy win for Biden at home, while at the same time weakening the coalition government of Benjamin Netanyahu here in Israel, which Biden has criticized since it came to power last year. The ceasefire proposal would involve three phases. In the first phase, there would be a 6-week ceasefire, during which there would be a massive influx of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. President Biden has said that he would like to see up to 600 trucks per day bringing humanitarian aid into the Strip. The IDF would also withdraw from major population centers in the Gaza Strip and just defend certain corridors. Also, there would be the release of several Israeli hostages, primarily women, elderly, and sick or wounded hostages. In the second phase of the plan, following that 6-week ceasefire, there would be an exchange of the remaining Israeli hostages for Palestinian political prisoners, mostly those accused of terror acts, whether plotting or carrying out, or other political prisoners involved in security incidents. It would be exchanged one for the other. The details of that exchange have not been released. We don't yet know how many Palestinian prisoners would be exchanged for each Israeli hostage. Another part of the second phase would be the complete withdrawal and removal of all Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip. There would also begin negotiations for a permanent peace between Israel and the Palestinians. In the third phase of the plan, there would be a massive reconstruction effort in the Gaza Strip that would involve investments from the United States, Europe, and the Arab states. We're talking about an initial investment of somewhere around $7 billion. The details have not yet been made clear, although several Arab states have said that they are interested in rebuilding Gaza. There would also begin negotiations for a final solution based on a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, involving an Israeli state and a Palestinian state. It has not yet been clarified if that involves the 1967 borders or some other solution, but it would begin negotiations between Israel and a Palestinian government. It's not yet clear if that would be the Palestinian Authority or some other interim government to be set up. And the final part of that third phase would be the return of all remains of Israeli hostages, both those who died during October 7th and their bodies were taken into Gaza, and hostages that died after October 7th and their bodies have been kept in Gaza by the terror groups. It's believed that Biden has several objectives in releasing this proposal right now. One is he would like to gain a foreign policy win ahead of the November elections. He would also like to buy back or bring back support from many pro-Israel Democrats who have become very critical of his administration in the last few weeks because they see him apparently weakening in his support for Israel or becoming too critical. Thirdly, he would be appealing to a younger group of Democrats and leftists who are very critical of Israel and see the war in Gaza as a very bad thing and are opposed to the support that Biden has given to Israel over these 8 months. Additionally, it's believed that Biden would like to present himself as a credible peace partner in the Middle East. This would allow him also to provide a policy win that would be somewhat equivalent to President Trump's Abraham Accords. It's also believed that President Biden would like to weaken Netanyahu's coalition government. Biden has been very critical of the coalition government since it took power at the beginning of last year. Especially, he's been critical of many of the far-right, pro-settlement politicians like National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. Both of those politicians have expressed very strong opposition to the ceasefire proposal and threatened to leave the government if Netanyahu accepts the proposal and moves forward. At the same time, in Israel's political left, several politicians have come out in favor of the proposal. Center-left politician Yair Lapid of the Yesh Atid party has released a statement Saturday evening on Twitter saying that he would provide a safety net for Netanyahu if he agrees to accept the proposal. Yesh Atid holds 24 seats in the Knesset, while Ben-Gvir and Smotrich's parties combined only have 13 seats. So it would be more than enough to cover. Again, it's not clear if he would provide cover only while the peace proposal is being implemented or until the end of the current government. Yair Lapid has called for elections before this point. On Israel's right, as we mentioned, both Smotrich and Ben Gvir are very opposed. However, even within Netanyahu's own Likud party, there's been opposition. Former Jerusalem Mayor Nir Barkat called the peace plan disconnected from reality, saying that it would leave Hamas in power. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself released a rare statement on Shabbat, saying that the Israeli government would not agree to any proposal that prevents it from achieving its aims in the war, the removal of Hamas from power, and the return of the hostages. Several right-wing think tanks in Israel have also decried the plan, saying that it would not take care of Hamas because there is no enforcement for disarming Hamas. They've said that all the plan would do is delay Hamas's ability to strengthen itself. The ceasefire proposal has exposed deep rifts in Israeli society, both in the political landscape and among the population. For several weeks now, there have been, on Saturday evenings, protests both against the government and for a hostage release deal, involving thousands of people in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and many other large cities in Israel. At the same time, many on the right are against a ceasefire proposal that does not defeat Hamas and return the hostages. President Biden likely hopes to achieve a foreign policy win ahead of the November elections, which would strengthen his support within the Democratic Party. It would bring back pro-Israel Democrats. It would lend support to those Democrats, particularly among the younger generation, which are calling for a ceasefire and have decried his support for Israel up to this point. And at the same time, it would allow him to weaken the coalition government of Netanyahu here in Israel, which he has been very critical of since the beginning. This has been J. Micah Hancock with an All Israel News Live Update. Please follow us for all the important stories out of Israel.